Hi everyone, my name is Wes Penny and today I'm tying my UV and dubbing waterboatman.
We'll start off with the bead on the hook and just wrap your thread down. You can go right down to the well into the bend. So we're going to make this size quite big. Go all the way down. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie in some thin skin, which will lay over top of the dubbing and give you a base to put your resin on. I'll take a small piece, kind of cut it into the shape of a tier, a long tier, and you're going to tie it right in the back. And what's really important is that you get it right in the middle of the hook as you run it down, because when you pull it up over top of the body, it has to lay right in the middle. It's a little tricky to get it started. But as you tie it down, you can adjust kind of where it's laying and just pull it over a bit and then wrap it all the way down to where you want to start your body, right in there. Next material I'm going to put in is a little bit of mylar tinsel, pearl tinsel. I'll put that along the back so it gives it a bit of flash underneath the resin. It just makes it shine a little bit more. Again, we'll get it started and wrapped in. As you work it down, just try and lay it right at the top of the hook. It's nice and even in the middle. And a lot of this is going to get covered with dubbing, so you don't have to be too worried about how pretty it looks right now. So that kind of gets us started. So right off of that, we're going to go into the dubbing. And so make your dubbing loop. Tie it in at right where your tinsel and the thin skin is. A couple of wraps underneath to lock it in, and then come right back to the top with your thread. I'll be using a dubbing spinner. So I like to kind of get it started here. Just hang it off to the side and whip finish so my thread doesn't come off on me. Can move that over to the side and get it out of the way. We'll add a little bit of dubbing wax just to help hold the dubbing in place there. I'm using Sparkle Blend dubbing, and this is a Cahill cream. You don't need to use too much. They always tell you whenever you watch any dubbing videos that less is better. Turn this over a bit. Give her a bit of a spin. I generally stop it partway through the spin and just even it out a little bit. Give it another spin. That's pretty good right there. And then you can go right away into laying your dubbing on. So it's like any kind of a nymph pattern. You want it to be narrower at the bend and thicker at the bead, just to get that body shape. So just you can work it back and forth. You can go back a little bit and add where you think you might have missed. So then you can take your tinsel and pull it back up to the bead. Give it a good stretch, make sure it's laying right across the back. Give it a pinch. Tie it in behind the bead with a couple of turns. Snip that off. Okay, we're going to add the legs in here, and I'm using the round rubber legs. It's medium size. And I just kind of hold them like that over top and just throw a couple of wraps in. And I don't worry about this too much because the resin is going to hold those legs in place. So we'll just leave those like that, and then bring your thin skin over top. And you can stretch it right up over top of up towards the bead. Once you get it in place, you just tie it off right behind the bead. Once you get it tied off, and I don't like taking a chance of my thread coming off, so I always give it a whip finish. When you get that tag that you want to take off, it's hard to get your scissors in there and cut it all the way around. So all you need to do is just give it a nick once you got a nick, then you can just peel it back, and it actually makes a cleaner tear than using your scissors. And that really is it for tying anything in. So that's the basics of the body. Okay, now we're going to add our resin. So I'm going to use the Gulf Classic, which is a clear resin, and Black Magic, and I might add a little bit of the dirty motor oil and see how it kind of turns out. One thing I also do is when you tie these, you can bring the thin skin over top of the bead and actually tie it off at the eye so it covers the bead. Or an easy way to cover the top of the bead is just use a black marker, and I just give it about half, the top half, just to cover in. Kind of gives you the black head that you want, just like that. Okay, let's add some resin to that. Start off with Gulf Classic. The nice thing with this stuff is it's pretty thick, so it gives you lots of time to be able to play with where you want that resin to go. So you can put a pretty healthy amount on there. Grab a bodkin and just move it so it covers right along the top of that thin skin. It doesn't go into the dubbing. The other little trick I'll do is I'll spin it a bit just to get it to flow kind of evenly. When you look at it, it's got a really nice curve on it. Looks pretty clean. Give it a zap. One of the tricks with resins is you don't want to touch the resin right after you've cured it, because when it's warm, if you touch it, it'll dull. It takes the finish right off. I'm going to use some Black Magic Gulf. It's just a plain black color. I'm going to add a little bit of that to the head and bring it over top the back. So it kind of gives it a bit of a natural transition to the head from the body. Again, it's easy to play with this stuff and move it around. That should be pretty good. This bead is a fluorescent chartreuse, so it really has a lot of pop with the UV light. So we'll get some bling to the boatman. There you go. That's your resin and dubbing water boatman.